Anybody having special plans for this weekend? I'm going to go to, I think, Universal or Disney or something. Up to the family when they choose. Anybody going anything special this weekend? All right.
No, just home repairs, the other list. There's a list
So
of work.
home repairs, nice. That's a smart man. That says keep the house clean and neat and repair. That's fantastic. Looks good.
Yep, never ends.
Indeed.
The joy of home ownership.
Well, I'll start with sharing my screen, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this. So let me see if I can get.
Okay. Would you mind if I recorded this?
Please. So bear with me. There it is. Okay. So one of the things with Zoom, so if you see my screen, it's on purpose sitting on Google. I'll go ahead and...
Recording in progress.
Perfect. That sounds good. So hopefully we'll put this up somewhere. We are, I think your Bill, the T-Lugs, the T-Lugs, please. I'm going to, that gives away a little bit of a thing I will say later. But the FLUX, the South Florida Linux group, I think is thinking about putting things on YouTube or different videos, right?
Well, yeah, there's been that discussion, but there's also static stuff that's not
Right.
video.
Absolutely.
And I
I'll
haven't
figure out how to...
figured out all of what we should do. We used to have a web server long ago, but that went away. The
Absolutely.
building got crashed in a hurricane, so
Wow.
yes, it was a casualty of Wilma.
Yeah, oof, that's serious. No, that I was working for Circuit City, the website, not the store. Not that anything's wrong with working at the store. Working at the website, and the whole ceiling, please excuse me, of the data center where we were hosting, that we weren't in the clouds back then. This is a while ago. Collapsed. And thank goodness we had a backup in Virginia that was in the cloud, so we quickly switched to that, and it saved our behinds and all that. By quickly, I meant within an hour, right? This is a long time ago before many of you were born. So, unless you remember Circuit City. All right. To start with, I'm going to go to my website. I'm going to repeat it a couple of different times, but you'll see that Damien.rocks. So you can see that in my name. So if you look just sort of down there, you can see it over here, Damien.rocks. It's in my name of the person that's talking to you. It's going to have the slides. If you're interested, most of the time you just look up here. You can see what's going on. Most of the time you'll be in apps. You'll be having discussions. We'll open the floor to anybody who wants to talk. But if you're interested, I have some slides at the very end. And what I want to do is make sure that you have links to the slide, not just sort of, you're welcome to take a snapshot of your screen. You can take a snapshot with your phone, anything you'd like, as long as you can get it working. So my name is Damien Montero, not Damien Rocks. Damien Rocks is where you can find the slides. I am a huge fan of Flux, and I'll talk a little bit about it. But today we're going to be talking about using DeepSeek R1 specifically on your computer. Please excuse me for using the word laptop there. We're going to be figuring out how to run it locally. What does it mean to run it locally? I'm going to switch and I'm going to let everybody that's listening know something very important that I want you all to know. I love interruptions. I don't have any problems with it. And if you chat on the chat, please do me a favor. Somebody sort of say that information, because I can't really see the chat. I only have the window that you're seeing right now. Again, if you don't see the window, what I would suggest, if you have this capability, put me in one window so you can run the program in the other one. And if you're pretty good at Command Tab or Alt Tab, switching back and forth, you'll be fine. First, I want to let you know that I'm a long-time listener and first-time caller. I'm a huge fan of Flux, and I'm honored to be presenting here. I remember coming here, like I said, 26 years ago, and one of the first groups I ever went to was in the university down Nova Southwest University, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a different one. Maybe I'm wrong. And seeing the presentations from the amazing Flux group, the South Florida Linux group. So it's an honor to be here. to be part of this. But today, before we do this, I just want to let you know this is not related to me, but I know that each one of you are excited about AI. If you're excited about doing things AI quickly with your computer, without all the complexity we're going to talk about now, and you want something simple, look for Dev Dive on Eventbrite and the Dev Dive workshops. Madison, which is the organizer and head coach, I think, of the Flamingo Coders, which is a group that helps young people code, and she also works for FPNL. We'll be presenting ML5. ML5 stands for Machine Learning 5. It's wonderful things. If you're interested and you see my slides at damien.rocks, you can see the link at the very bottom of it. And that's all. I'll mention it. You're welcome to ask me questions about it. But really, it's an event that's happening tomorrow, not the one that we're talking about right now. Just wanted to bring it up and share the love. So we're going to have a little discussion. I want to get a main thing to discuss, you know what I mean? What is it that an LLM is, and specifically, what are we talking about today? So, what is an LLM? We can have a formal discussion. Wikipedia defines it. I'm not going to go there, right? You guys all know what it is. You heard of ChatGPT. You may have chatted with Copilot on your computer or on the website at copilot.microsoft.com. You may love Google, and so therefore Gemini is where you go, or BART, or whatever they call it tomorrow. And it's a wonderful expression. You have a chat. You can ask them questions. Maybe you can upload a picture and you say, "What am I seeing here?" And they can help you with your homework. Wait, I didn't tell you that. I have a 13-year-old, so I'm not supposed to tell that to anybody that we actually do that. But yeah, she's pretty smart, so it looks good when she gets 100% on her tests. So, where do they run? They run on magical servers that nobody understands. That if you've seen today's presentation from NVIDIA, you saw these beautiful racks, and it was amazing, and it was fantastic. And it's only $300 billion. For you, only $300 billion, you can have 5 of these racks. Well, what a great investments and things. And you're like, what? What's going on in there? That's interesting, but what does it mean to be running on there? They're big. They're complex. What if I wanted to run it on locally? What does it mean to do that? And we'll have a discussion a little bit more about this when we start seeing these work locally. So what we're going to be doing isn't copying OpenAI, and we're definitely not going to get the same level as OpenAI. Think of it like Facebook compared to an open source version of Facebook that we get on GitHub. That's wonderful, but it's never going to be as good as Facebook. There are copies. I had a friend of mine, he was like, I have this revolutionary idea. What's your revolutionary idea? I'm going to do, car share. Oh, okay, great. I think it's been invented already by 2 companies. And you go, no, you don't understand. I own carshares.io. And I'm like, the name is the big... Okay. Tell you what. If you want to do that, here's a GitHub repo. Clone it. In other words, copy it to your computer. And you will find that you have essentially a rideshare app, a Lyft or whatever, sitting on your computer. And you publish it. I'll help you with that. And then you can continue with the biggest part of running, a new business, which is, the marketing and things like that. And of course, so he understood that it's not going to be as sophisticated as the official big guys. So we're going to be running sort of a trimmed down version. But sometimes we don't need that PhD level requirements. All we need is some quick advice, something basic. And these LLMs that can run locally can be one of those things. Okay? Today, what we're going to do is the order of things. I'm going to discuss a little bit of DeepSeek, and this is where I need your help. We've discussed kind of what it means to be local, what it means to run this, and at any moment, if it serves the purpose of the conversation, we'll sort of switch to our computers and we'll install it locally. But since if you look at the chat, you'll be able to download some of the files in there. But what I want to do is discuss LLMs, discuss what this DeepSeek model that came out at the beginning of the year, what it did, why it did it, and all this type of things and all that. So I just want to bring that up in there. Any questions so far? Okay. So one reminder, these slides are available at Damien.rocks. Check out the name of the guy that's talking right now. In the bottom of the thing, you can see it's Damien, quote, rocks. So Damien.rocks is the place you can find all these slides. But you can just watch. The majority of stuff is going there. You want to cheat a little bit? Go to olama.com or lmstudio.ai, not .com. LM, not LLM, single L, lmstudio.ai/download. And make sure to download the version for your computer, taking a look at the fact that if you have a CPU, that's a special CPU, if you have an M processor, if you have a Snapdragon processor, and those options are there. All that. But you don't need to do it if you don't want to. We can do it a little bit later as well. Just if you wish, download it, don't run it, just download it. All right. Really, what this slide originally came in, why I talked to Bill and the other amazing organizers of the Flux is that around, I believe, the beginning of February, perhaps even earlier than that, there was a release of a Chinese-made LLM. And so there had been plenty of different versions of these language models, but this was one that was pretty revolutionary. They were doing, this is just right after, I feel like it's weeks after ChatGPT and OpenAI had released their brand new O1 model. And the revolution of the O1 model is that it sat down and thought about its answer before it did it. And you and I can all agree that if you ask me a question, I think of my answer first, I might get a better answer for your question than if I just sort of blurt it out real quickly from my memory, from like the first thing that pops up in my head. So this wasn't big deal. You're like, okay, great, the Chinese can do what we can do. Well, this tanked NVIDIA stocks. Now you're like, wait a minute, hold on a second. NVIDIA is not OpenAI. Did it tank NVIDIA stock? Well, it's not public, so it didn't tank anything. And other companies were still okay. But all of a sudden, Microsoft was in a little bit of trouble where they host OpenAI. They host a lot of these things. AWS was in a little bit of trouble, not like NVIDIA stock, but plummeted something to the order of 30 to 40%, correct me. But the idea is that things. What this new model promised was that you needed less of those super expensive $40,000, not the $300 you saw on Walmart the other day, but $40,000 graphic cards. So if you don't need as many, and Elon Musk has 100,000 and he's going to buy 1 million, and Microsoft has 300,000 and they're going to buy double that, then all of a sudden, why is NVIDIA moved so much? And so today we'll talk a little bit about it. But which was this, So it was the famous Chinese LLM. What was a big deal? This is what the big deal is that we were supposed to be dominant. We're supposed to be doing that. So what's going on in here? So you're like, what was it called? It was called Qwen. No, you read that presentation right. It was not called Qwen. This was removed from a company called Alibaba, not DeepSeek, which was a little tiny one there. Oh, I'm sorry. It was called DeepSeek, but this was released in Christmas, before Christmas, like not February. So what do you mean by that? It wasn't. It was DeepSeek R1. That's the one that did it. This company, DeepSeek, had released several different models before. It had been around. It had been not for like 10 years. It had been around for several months. And it's connected to an investment firm. So it's not one that you would expect something revolutionary to come up with. But when they came up with, it was pretty impressive. Let's talk a little bit about why it's a revolutionary expectation. So I'm going to go into it. This might raise some questions or might answer some questions. But I have an analogy. You can't see me this, and when I've done this, I'm a very old man. Well, I'm not a very good-looking man, but this lovely young lady is the exact same age as me. Believe it or not, this is Christina Aguilera. When I saw a post somewhere on Twitter, something that's saying how in the world is she all of a sudden so gorgeous? She's been gorgeous since she was born. What I mean is, all of a sudden got better. People explained to me, or a is there a famous cosmetic surgeon? Is there a famous thing? And the answer from this particular very famous cosmetic surgeon is the reason she looks this tremendous. And all these famous people you've seen recently look so tremendous is because they're doing all the things. So let's remind ourselves, we're not talking about Christina Aguilera, we're talking about DeepSeek. So what they've done is they're doing all the things some of the other models are doing. So chain of thought, this was one of the ones that was very famous for Anthropic doing, but they were doing about 4 chains of thoughts. This is essentially grouping. Like think of LLMs as a big brain laid out on a mat, and a very, very large mat. So over on that corner is all the math, and over on this corner is all the history that it knows about, and then very, very close to me in the left is all the, let's say, I don't know, another subject, all the politics, something like that. I guess those things are combined. So what they've done is they've segregated, so it quickly can jump to the right place and have the right expert, as they call them, know what's going on. The reinforcement learning is another thing where OpenAI had to do some things with a human involved, and there's a slowness because you have 30,000 humans involved, but they can only answer certain questions very fast when you are checking and perfecting all that. They started using OpenAI. So DeepSeek is using the competitor to get themselves better. Distillation, group, and the revolutionary is the very bottom one, where they did create a new one. I don't really know what it does, but it is the group relative policy optimization. And I think it's related to the chain of thought. So they did have a revolution that made them so incredibly good that it's comparable to OpenAI, which is running on, $300 million worth of computer that costs $26 million a day to run. I'm making these numbers up, right? I'm hallucinating, as they say in the AI world. And I can run it on an expensive, $10,000 Mac, and it's comparable. Like, I can run it. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe none of us have a $10,000 Mac, but if we could get a $10,000 Mac, and we'll see it run on your computers, sometimes struggle, and on my computer, and I'm on a special computer which I'll describe in a minute. But if I can run a model that takes $26 million a day to run, and it's comparable, and it only costs me one time $10,000, and that's it. Tomorrow it's free. The day after it's free because the $10,000 was a one-time fee plus, 36 cents a day in electricity, right? Or $3 a day to make, exaggerate. This is revolutionary, and that's why the stock tanked. Okay? So any questions about that? Because I wanted to give a little bit of insight. I know everybody's looking to run it locally. We'll do that. We'll have that explanation. We'll do those things. But I just want to see if anybody has any questions specifically about DeepSeek, the stocks crashing, if you remember that. Any questions about those things?
Yeah, I have a question. This is
Yes.
Marine here. So is there a benchmark that shows which are the features that are lost between DeepSeek and ChatGPT? Something that already tell us in advance. So for example, don't try this specific use case on DeepSeek. For that, it will be better.
Right. You got cut off there at the end. You still talking? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Perfect. So there's no real features that we see when we chat. It says my internet is bad. My apologies if you can't see my screen. I guess let me know if you can't hear me and all that. But there's no real features, as in there's nothing you can ask it that it won't reply. In fact, one of the things that we have to be aware of is that there is DeepSeek.com, the website, and it is simply a portal, a door to DeepSeek, the LLM, specifically R1 and the R2 that's coming up very soon. That's where you might, I don't know if that's what you were insinuating, there's a talk saying this is a Chinese model, so if you ask it about Tiananmen Square, of anything that is a black eye or something that the Chinese do not want you to talk about, you'll notice that if you go to DeepSeek.com, the website, which is running the DeepSeek model, that it will censor you. You will also notice that it starts answering. So DeepSeek does know all the answers, but it's the website, and we'll go through it in a second, that blocks it and all that. Now, your question may have been about other features. There are things like, for example, this new agentic thing where you can have the LLM sort of have arms, as I call it. Do something. Hey, LLM, don't just calculate how many R's there are in strawberry, a very famous joke in the AI world. I don't know, because it's not funny. Don't do this. I want you to do this, and then when you find out, send an email, and then when you reply to that someone replies to that email, start doing these. So these agentic, these things where the LLM, which is essentially, in my mind, a brain in a jar that you interact with your keyboard and your monitor, now can do things. So those type of things the local LLMs don't yet have. Some of them do. And so those are some of the things that you might say it cannot do. But as far as I click-clack on the keyboard, I press enter, and it spits out, it's going to be able to do a lot of things that OpenAI can. Now, getting back to what I said before, one of the things it can't, OpenAI can now reach out to the internet. So if you ask OpenAI, you can try it right now, what is the weather right now in Boston? Remember that it's a brain in a jar. A brain in a jar doesn't know what the weather outside is. Yet OpenAI can. But that's the agentic part. That's where it can reach out to an API from OpenWeather and ask it, hey, what's the weather? Come back and then reply to you as if it already knew in its brain. And it does not. Right? So those are some of the things you can do. Any other questions about DeepSeek? I mean, we will get more questions and all that as we start running it, but I just want to get that out of the way.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. What do you think? Anything you think you can't do, or have you tried, or have you heard they can't do?
No, to be honest, I haven't tried this. Yeah, so.
Okay. Sounds
no
good.
idea.
Some of the things that I heard, and perhaps some of you have been asking about, is, hey, they were supposed to use some 50,000 illegal GPUs. This may be true. Illegal GPUs are specifically the top of the line, brand new, $3,000 or more like $50,000 GPUs that they were not supposed to have access to. And so there's a discussions back and forth. Some people have proven it. And I'll have a slide that talks about this, where they could have done it without the absolute latest and greatest. And what it should have happened is it should have simply taken more time. The latest and greatest GPUs, the things that cost $40,000, not that ridiculously, on sale $8,000 one you can get on eBay right now. Who needs that piece of, garbage? That's last year's stuff. They probably had them, but they didn't necessarily need them. Second, there were some news articles, I don't know if you heard about it, that said they did all this for $5 million. And that compares to over $1 billion that was paid by OpenAI to Microsoft to run a ton of hundreds of thousands of GPUs to create O1. They're now an O3, but their O1 model. That it cost them about $1 billion. And so the answer to that is no, they did not pay $5 million. The work to create an LLM is a lot of work of doing something that costs millions of dollars, seeing if it worked. Oh, it didn't work, throwing it out. Spend another $5 million. Did it work? Nope, throw it out. Spend another $2 million. Oh, you realize right away it's not going to work, throw it out. And then finally spend $5 million and everything lined up. So yes, it costs $5 million to do this model. No, that's not the only thing that they paid for. They probably paid a lot more than that to get to what's going on. Number 3, OpenAI and Microsoft has said that they used data from OpenAI, and it looks like they have proof that they did that. The question is, well, is it illegal? It's against the terms that OpenAI has you sign up to get access to their API, so it's as illegal as you going against the terms of something is. And who's to say that it was OpenAI's data, right? OpenAI did surf the whole internet and several books and things that are not available on the internet to create what it has as its model knowledge. So you decide what's going on. Number 4, DeepSeek is owned by a venture capitalist firm in China. It is their research division. The research division is called DeepSeek, and it's just full of data analysts, geniuses, not in bottles, in human form, and other people. And that, if the Chinese, the news was saying, if the Chinese can make a model as a side project, I'm bored, what am I going to do? Let's go ahead and revolutionize OpenAI and make one that's good as theirs that runs on your laptop. That's scary, but it isn't true. It is one of the most important things that they did, and it is one of the things that a lot of that locations do. We'll talk a little bit about Meta, which is the old Facebook, right? So Facebook renamed it to Meta. And they also had a side project called Llama. It's not the old Llama that I asked you to download, but it is something, to be aware of. And they didn't. They also did it as a side project. What happens is these PhDs and these students and all that, they really like to show off. How do they show off? Well, they tell their friends and that they're getting $1 million in stock from Facebook. That's a pretty big, show off. But also they want to showcase something on GitHub to show off to the whole world. That's a programmer thing. It was a data analyst thing. So this was not a side project. This was a serious part of the business. And they thought they could do something, and they were right. Right? They took a bet, and they were right. 5, as we discussed earlier, if you go to deepseek.com, the website that has the model running on some servers, you can try and see if there's certain things that it censors because it's in China, and you will find plenty of things that it censors because it's in China. This is not because the model censors it. We'll show you how to run it locally, and you can ask it any question you'd like, anything at all. It's your computer, and I'll talk to you and I'll show you that it doesn't use the internet. But it is going to be not censored at all. Okay? So from that, any questions about it or comments?
Nope.
Sweet. Appreciate the no. Always lets me move forward, right? Let's do this together. I'm on a Windows box, but don't be surprised because I'm also I'm doing this because I wanted to make sure that I went ahead. Oops, I lost. What is going on here? I lost WSL. Whoa. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh. Apparently I decided to complain and all that. So, one of the things that we'll notice when we go to LM Studios, let's go to LM Studio. You can follow me along. If you have done so already, probably you'll see that. If you go to lmstudio.ai/download, you can choose what your operating system is. For the Mac, you only have the M series. In other words, this Apple Silicon, anything with new. If you have an Intel processor, this program doesn't work. Don't fret, we have other solutions for you, but this program doesn't work. For Windows, you have different choices, including the new Snapdragon. If you have a brand new laptop and they've told you at the Best Buy that it was the latest and greatest and has all this AI stuff and it's blah, 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 it's probably a Snapdragon. If not, it's the old Intel, x86 AMD processors. That's the other one you have in there. And for Linux, they only have x86. I want to let you know, if any one of you is following on Linux, you do need to do more than just run it. Here I have downloaded, right? It's an app image. I've made it executable. Great. And now, if I just run it, and it will run. I know it's Windows, but it will run and will give me a graphic. It's going to give me an error. And so what I'm going to tell you, and I'd love, please, if you have some insights into this, you need the libfuse 2 package installed. Okay. And, oh, what happened there? Whoa, that's a little bit weird. That should work. That should work. I might have made a typo or something to do that, but that should have worked. If not, you can Google this up. Go to ChatGPT or something like that before you do that. And then I've had to do this. I've had to sort of do with a no sandbox. Here, I'm going to sort of rely on each one of the experts here as to why an app image needs no sandbox. Does anybody know? I don't know. That's why I'm sort of asking. I'm not saying that. And it still needs the other fusion. So there has to be something there. This is what I had to do on my Linux box to get it working. I'm not sure why here. It might just be something to do with my Linux within Windows kind of environment. But for you, again, under Damien.rocks, you'll see these slides. Go down to slide 18. These are the 2 lines that you have there. I just realized it's kill studio. I was doing that for Cursor. That's what I need to do to get Cursor running on my local computer. But we're using those 2. Anybody download these already? The LM Studio. We'll start with that one. So everybody started that? Okay. Are you on a Mac that's Intel, or you'd like to run this but run it on a server or something that's not sort of GUI based but more command line based? Ollama is the answer for that. And we'll sit and look at some things in Ollama for 1 second. But Ollama has a Windows application, it has a Mac application, and it has the command lines for instructions to follow for Linux. Simply following this on a server or something like that will make it work and will give you interaction with it. Now, you're going to get 2 things, and we'll see in a second. I'll come in here, let me get out of here, and I'll have it. I don't have it running. My apologies, I didn't mean to run this guy. That's doing some things in semantic kernel. Ollama is a command line program. Okay? Ollama can load one of the things we're looking at, and I'll say specifically this one. You don't have to follow along here. I'm going to show you that in a second, but I'll have it run the LM Studio here in the command line. You can imagine that you're in terminal in Windows or Mac, or I'm in Linux, and it's the exact same thing. Your prompt's going to be different, but what we're going to do together here, once it's installed, is the same. Before I show you some of the models and some of the things you can do in Ollama, we'll start with Ollama. If you would like, if you're more of a GUI person and you'd like to see all the different options, just bear with me. I'm going to stay with Ollama for just a little bit. There's a reason why. I'll explain them. And then we'll switch to LM Studio. LM Studio and Ollama together with some of the models can take as much as 20 to 30 gigabytes of data. You can imagine that the Ollama program takes space, and then on top of that, you can see that this particular model takes 4.9 gigabytes of space, and this other particular model takes 1.1 gigabyte of space, and you will see all the different ones I have in LM Studio. So just be aware of that and make a decision yourself as to whether you will follow along by looking at what I'm doing or follow along on your own computer, which I'm giving you enough time to download it, install it. Go ahead and install it. If you installed LM Studio, you will get a walkthrough. If you'd like, you can walk through that. It's just a little wizard, and eventually you get to something that looks like this. If you look at it, it looks like, if you've seen OpenAI, this is similar. These icons don't exist in OpenAI, but there's chats. You may have had so many with you. You have the main chat window, and then up here, really on OpenAI and ChatGPT, it's over here. You will get to choose. You won't have this list on your model, all the different models and all that. We'll talk about this in a second. Okay, So just bear with me. If you have LM Studio running and you got to this point, or if you want to skip the tutorial that comes up when it first gets installed, you just have to listen in as we talk about Ollama for a minute, okay? Here in Ollama.com, I'm going to click on Models. The reason I wanted to come in here is because this is a easier to understand way of talking about models. The one on LM Studio, when we do a search, you can do all these same things, but picture that Ollama has given you a curated list of models, of individual models that run on your computer. This is different than, for example, choosing different LM providers. These are different ones, and when we choose one, for example, this is the new Google one. Again, this is you're like Damien that you're mispronouncing Gemini. How come they mispronounce it there? It's not Gemini. Gemini is the service, the website. If I go to gemini.google.com, I will get a very similar interaction to OpenAI, but it's Google, right? There's another Llama one. There's the X one. If you go to Twitter and you go to XAI, you don't go to XAI. Please excuse me. I think it. I don't know if it's XAI. Is it X.AI? It is. Look at that. I didn't know about it. So these are the websites. We are talking here with Ollama about the different models, and we'll look at the ways we load the models in LM Studio in just a second. So again, you're welcome to follow me along or just watch what I'm doing. So your choice. Some of the ones I want to emphasize is Gemma is the open source, and what that means essentially is not so much open source. It's a little bit of a. I just recently saw a presentation, as in an hour ago, that it's not really open source, but it is open source. Think of this as models you're allowed to install and run locally, or models you're allowed to install and run and do whatever you wish on a server. And we'll talk about what that means and what processor it is when I showcase my computer, and the reason you'll find out why I'm on a Windows computer, not a Linux computer, which is right next to me right now, which is my normal everyday thing. Gemma is the one from Google, their open version. This is a new one from another Chinese creator. It's Alibaba, called Q&Q. It's from the Quen series. This is the famous one that we talked about, DeepSeek R1. There's a different DeepSeek. This is DeepSeek R1, right? This Llama one, it's not Ollama. They badly named it, right? They like the word Llama, right? This is Llama, and Llama is from Facebook, Meta. And finally, there's Phi. And Phi is Microsoft open source multi-model, and we'll talk about that is in a second, model for doing things. And if I keep on scrolling, there's many more. There's Minstrel, there's different ones. I can go ahead and search for something. These are open source, and we'll just sneak a peek at something. If I type in code, I get things that say the word code. Well, there's some things that we're recently doing, which is how to do where these models can be trained in different ways. These models that I'm looking at right now on the screen are incredibly good at programming code. At programming, right? The nickname being code. So that's why they're named that way. So there's several different ones. It's not a lot. I'm going to do a quick search here, and I'm going to get to the end. Right? This is a very famous another one, Command A. So this is not a big list. You'll be like, Damien, that was like what, 10 pages worth of list? It's like, yeah. But there is 151,000 different models in the biggest repository of models out there called Hugging Face. So if you've heard that, someone's mentioned it, it's just like a place, a location, a marketplace of free open source, in the sense that you can use them and download them, locations for that. We're here to talk about R1. So if you want, you can follow along here or just click on this. And you're going to see DeepSeek So I have a quick description. We're going to see all these numbers. I'll get back to it in a second. We're going to see some things that are more for a specific people. And then I'm going to scroll down and we're going to read information about it. And we're going to see all different things, like someone earlier mentioned, how do you know it's doing well? I don't. But if these charts are meant to be true, as you can see, the 1,217 parameter model of OpenAI is beat by the 600. And think of it like horsepower for now. We'll talk about more about that a little bit later. So the OpenAI is as good, and that costs $200 a month. The O1, well, at least now I think it's available for the $20 price. So this little thing, and with an asterisk, it's not the one that's going to run in your computer, but it's close, can almost do the same thing. And so you as a business owner, as a project manager, might be interested in having a conversation with someone about, do we spend 50 cents per 1,000 tokens to go with OpenAI? Are we smart and going to go with Gemini? That's 7 cents for 1,000 tokens, right? Or 1,000,000 tokens. I don't remember what the cost is. Or do we spend a little bit of money and have a Mac in the corner that costs us $2,000 that can run these things? That's a possibility. Just a good breath. Yeah, ask any questions, please.
Yeah, and the benefit of that is that the data retains or is inside of your organization without
Wonderful. Yes. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yes.
Yeah, I have another question. I couldn't follow when you say that, which is the difference between Hugging Face and this Ollama portal?
Great question. So Hugging Face and this one essentially is the same. The difference is Ollama has for itself a specialized list. Like they only have a few. That few may be, let's say, 600 models. Let's just say that number instead of 150,000. So Hugging Face will have every single model you can ever think about, and we'll see some of the things in LM Studio. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. So just trust me that this is a curated, a specialized, a separated, made just for you list. Right?
Okay.
It's a small list, and while Hugging Face is every single thing in the world. Right?
Perfect.
Okay. So that's only the difference. And it's easier for me to have a conversation when I choose RSeek, when we look at the README and all that here in Ollama. So we might not use Ollama. You'll be like, Damien, I see this, right? Now, I'm going to talk about these other things, and I'll get it running locally. Over here, it says, hey, Damien, if you type this in your command line, once Ollama is installed, you run this, you'll run the 7 billion parameter model on your computer. Well, let's do that. Copy. Paste. It didn't have it. Why didn't it not have it? Because I had the 8. Okay, that's fine. So we don't have to wait all day long. I'm going to choose the 8. So just bear with me here. And then I have a new command line, okay? The reason I choose 8 is because I have it already on my computer. So I don't want everybody to sit here and wait, okay? So here it is running, loading. And then in a second, I'm going to get a prompt. I'm surprised why it's taking this long. Usually I get a prompt right away. And it sits in my computer, and I can ask it the same questions I could. And to that fantastic point that you just make, it's just me and the computer having this conversation. Okay? What is the capital of Africa? Let's ask it a question that couldn't think about it. This means that it didn't think about it and then said, that was a stupid question. I think it should have thought about here, and then just answered a bunch of things. Says, I have no idea. There's no, it's continent. It's not a country. So there's no capital. Here's some of the examples of what's going on in there. Okay, that was a silly question of mine. You know what I mean? Let me see. What's a good one? How many R's are there in strawberry? It's a very famous question to think about it. DeepSeek, unlike some of the other ones, is now thinking between here and where's the last thing it did? Oh, it kind of cleaned all that. Okay. All right. So what happened there? Something happened where it should have started and ended. So you can see here and all that. I'm not sure where it didn't happen, but start worry about it. And then it decided the answer. I'm pretty sure that there are 2 R's. Well, that's the wrong answer. Well, how come? How come it was so stupid as to run in there? One of the things that people have told me is that LLMs are large language models. They're not large number models. They don't know math very well. They can't do count, but they can figure out certain things, right? You can ask it, I'd like you to give me a Python application that shows me all the files in a particular location. And it's going to think about it. That's where they start thinking about it. And I'm emphasizing this because you'll see it in the other one. And it's still thinking about it. It's defining what it's going to do. And then it's going to reply back with a very hard to see where there is, I'm going to scroll up for a second. There is the code from here to here. To here. And then again over here to here. I'm trying to emphasize that this is hard to read. But if I come in here, one of the options here, it's not here. One of the things that you should be aware of is that in my localhost, give me a second because I don't know if this comes up automatically, and I want to just check if it is. It's not. There is a way to have Ollama expose itself through an API so that now I can code something and not just type it like you might get the benefit of here. Okay? So I've shown you a simple version. If you don't want to do something too much, where you're going to see this in LM Studio in a second, where it's GUI and a lot of choices, you're like, no, Damien, that was way too much. Let me just do something where I can quickly turn on terminal so an icon doesn't exist in front of my boss or something like that. And I just want to have a conversation. And yes, if I were to come here and turn off the Wi-Fi and ask it a question, I can't right now because I'm on Zoom. But if I were to have this presentation in front of you, I could turn off the Wi-Fi and this would continue replying. Because I was very well, as was very well said, this runs locally, and when you turn it off, it's gone. When I do this, it's gone. I'm back on my desktop. I'm back here running my computer, okay? So, any questions about that before we continue? So you can just run Ollama, and we'll talk about different things. We can have a conversation about what's the right one. One of the best ones you'll see everywhere talk about is Llama 2. And okay, any questions before we continue? I want to go and show more about these things over here. Any questions?
So, Damien, how did you download and install? Like, you download all that setups and install it in your computer, or how?
It is. So the first thing we can do, and just bear with me here. I will record it. Bill will record it for the Flux. I also have it, and I may publish it somewhere on YouTube. But you can start with Ollama, and that lives in the command line. And if that's pleasant for you, if that is something you enjoy, if you get a good feeling about that, that's a good answer. And we come here, we install it, we go to models. We choose something. Let's just say you're like, I want the safe one, Damien. Come in here, go to Ollama, and then choose the 1 billion. We'll talk about what that means, and then copy this, and then just paste it here. It will take care of doing things. As you can see, it's downloading on the internet. It's getting it locally, things like that. So I first install the program and then follow the instructions. That make sense?
100%. Got it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Now, you gave me a chance to talk about this. you notice that when it first came in there, it was choosing the other one. It was choosing this 3, and I was like, whoa, and I chose the 1. Now, one of the obvious things is like, oh, it's smaller. Oh, well, I'll choose the smaller one. Or, I have plenty of space. I have 500 gigs on my hard drive. Let's choose the big one. It's 2 gigs, no big deal. The B is how, I don't want to use the word intelligent. None of these models are stupid. But think of it more like an employee that's been with you for a long time. The junior employee that just showed up and just graduated isn't, I'm a programmer, so I know this is a programming, isn't someone that can't do programming. They can do programming great. They know the latest programs, right? You're hiring them because they're pretty smart and they impressed you in the interview. But there's going to be things that it stumbled on, and there's going to be certain things they don't know. It isn't because they're not smart. It's just because they don't have enough information. These B's here stand for billion, and what they're talking about is parameters. And think of it more like extra stuff. There's just more stuff in their brain. The person with a lot of stuff in the brain, like me, because I'm an old person that's been around for long, so therefore I've seen things, right? I've made more mistakes than you've done things right, because I've been in this world for longer. I have more stuff in my brain. That doesn't make me smarter, but it is more stuff, and I can pull that stuff. Oh, it's giving me that error, and I can go, oh, I know what that error is, and you're looking at me like, how do you know what that error? We've never seen that before in the last 2 years. And I can tell you, well, 10 years ago, I was in another company and I saw that error. I think I know exactly what that is. And with my help, you can get it working done. So the bigger it is, the more it takes in your hard disk, but also the more it takes on your memory. Any questions about that as I take a drink?
No, good.
Yeah. So let's see that. It's coming down, right? So I'm going to Olama list. And we'll see this also with the other one. So I'm going to have the small one. I'm going to have the small one. Okay, so I'm going to go Olama, run the small one. Should start fairly quickly. There it is. Tell me a story about Linux. And notice how fast it's coming in there. See how fast it's coming in there? It's going to be hard on Zoom, but let me tell you, it's fast. Also, I'm going to Task Manager. This is one of the reasons I'm on Windows. I'm on my daughter's gaming PC. That's why I'm on here, because I want to see the GPU come up here. I'll do it again, and you'll notice that this GPU has spiked. It's using the pretty good GPU that she has on her laptop. And I came here on purpose to do this. Okay? Now I'm going to come in here and we can compare those things, right? So I'm going to go and say I have the 8. So you saw the 1.5. Now you're going to see the 8. It was taking up this much of my memory on my GPU. Now it's taking up this much. In other words, my GPU is getting full. The memory of my GPU. It's grabbed the whole model and put all of it in the GPU. This is a problem for a lot of your laptops you're going to be in. We're going to see that same thing with LM Studio in an exaggerated amount, but we're going to see what things LM Studio does this. I also want you to notice here, tell me a great story about Linux and Zoom. And then I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little bit slower. Now this is a very good computer. That's on purpose why I'm sitting on here. On yours, if you choose the 1.5 billion parameters, and we'll do that in LM Studio, you might see that it's a lot slower in yours. Or heck, you might see that it's a lot faster than mine, and you're like, Damien, please. It's fantastic on mine. How dare you say it's slow? And I'll take that. That's no problem at all. But notice that it's taking up over 9 gigs of my memory, not my personal memory. I have plenty of computer memory. I have all this left. This is computer's bored to death. CPU hasn't even blinked. It's gone up to about 20% and then 15%. It's bored to death. But the GPU is working its little butt off. I'm guessing it's little. I haven't seen it. So I'm going to go and say bye. The moment I say bye, this will kind of slow down. I'm not seeing it slow down, which is not emphasizing my. I think I have to turn it off over here with the Ollama. Okay? But I just want to emphasize that, the CPU the GPU has slowed down and now it's more in a relaxed stage. Right? This might be because of Zoom, but this is really what we're using with it, the 3D parts of it. It's not playing video games, my GPU. It's doing LM Studio, and that bump you saw before that's kind of now gone had to do with it calculating this. And you'll see it even more with LM Studio. I'm going to switch to LM Studio, and we're going to emphasize different things in LM Studio, but similar concepts. At this moment, this is the one I suggest. If you installed Ollama, no problem. I would suggest LM Studio, and I'll explain why when I go to LM Studio. Any questions before we move to LM Studio?
No.
All right. Thank you. Let's do this. Has everybody installed LM Studio already or downloaded? Anybody still needs some more time to download it? Anybody need some? No?
No, I downloaded, but I haven't installed it.
Go ahead and install it. When it comes up, you'll see a window. Go ahead and install it, and you'll see a window, like it'll install, and then the first time the program runs, you'll see a window here that's telling you to go ahead and download some models. I would suggest you skip it. There'll be a little X here in the corner where my mouse is moving around. Once you install it and run it, you'll see this sort of thing and all that. And we're looking to get to this, which is this kind of application up here. Now, what I'll do is I'll move slowly so that, give me 1 second, I'm just trying to hide the controls that appeared again on for Zoom here and all that. So as people install it, I'm just going to go through some things. I'll do them verbally as well as with a mouse so that you understand what's going on here. Over here, there's different icons. They're very similar to Visual Studio, if you know Visual Studio. Over here's the chats, similar to what we're doing with ChatGPT. If I click on it, I can see different chats. I can create a new one. This is going to be my chat where I talk about my trip to Paris. Trip to Paris. And then this one's going to be my psychotherapist, right? Who doesn't need a psychotherapist? Smart egghead, as the saying I believe goes, and all that. I'm not. My English is not my first language, so I don't know if that's correct or not. So these are different chats. The chats, which is an AI thing, have memory, but they're not shared between them. So if I start having conversations with this trip and I wanted to call me not Damien but Jacques, because I will be Jacques in Paris, then he will understand that I want to be addressed with the name Jacques. It's going to tell me, well, Jacques, what you can do is do this, this, and that. And it understands that I'm doing this. Over here, I have my psychotherapist. I wanted to understand that my real name is this, and it's going to have all these conversations, including it won't even know that I want to go to Paris, because that's a different chat. So these are individual, different, think of it different versions of whatever you choose up here. And we'll figure out what we're going to choose up here in just a second. Okay? Any questions about this so far?
No. Can be able to I'm able to install it.
Have you finished installing, or you're in the middle of the process of installing it?
No, install it. It shows the option for skip onboarding. So I did that skip.
Go ahead and skip onboarding. Yeah. I'll show you how to get to what it did that we're going to do together. Just to let you know, down here, there's some options where you can choose different words. Really, what you want to keep it is under the user. Assistant means something else and all that. But here's something very interesting. It's an ability to upload files. This is called RAG. That's just, it's retrieval augmented generation. It's a silly word where the acronym doesn't tell you anything, right? So it's RAG, and that means that you can have a conversation not only with the LLM that you choose, but also with the file that you upload. So if you upload a picture of something, you can ask certain models, this is important, we'll get back to it, questions about that picture. Hey, where's this picture? I don't remember taking it, and I see something in the background that looks amazing. Can you figure out where it is? And certain models will be able to figure out what's going on. Or a PDF. Here's a PDF of 200 pages I'm supposed to read. Can you summarize it? Those are the conversations you can have here. Or you can have questions like we did here, like tell me a story about, AI and the future or something like that. And it will do it. If I, excuse me, if I type something here and press enter, let's do that. Tell me a story about AI and its future. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cough in everybody's ears. It'll tell me that there's no model selected. And that's where we're going to go up here. But just in case, let's continue with some things over here. These are the developer options. I have them because I've chosen the developer option here. These are things where I interact with it like an API, like a developer. Maybe not interesting to you, maybe it is interesting. Here on the left is all the models I have currently installed on my computer. And the parameters, we talked about this one. This one's a little bit less knowledgeable than this one. And this one's a little bit less knowledgeable than this one. This is being the most knowledgeable of my models. Okay? And this one's a way you can do, and you'll see this in a second, do some research, and we'll talk about where you can, here, you will have, by the right order, the full 150,000 models. Okay? And we'll get to that in a second. But don't worry about that. Let's go back here. If you've installed the program and you're running it and you've skipped the onboarding, give me 1 second, I'm going to drink something. What you've seen is you get the ability to do this. So LM Studio is something I suggest you install. Ollama is great. Ollama is better suited, in my humble opinion, to a server and something you want to put somewhere else, where you're like, I don't have a powerful computer. We'll talk about the powerful when we look at these type of things. But the server is powerful. So let me put it there. Or I'm going to put a little tiny model because I want to build something that's going to do something, maybe a model that everybody can access to. Okay, and we'll talk about some of those options. There's software you can install in certain server, and then all of a sudden there's a nice interface similar to OpenAI that you can give to your daughter, to your family, to your uncle, to your dad. And that one, is served on a server that you pay maybe $30-40 a month for. Let's just say something that you know how to set up. And you can have that conversation that is intimate and deep, and without thinking about the fact that even though OpenAI doesn't really want to save your stuff, there is technically you're sending your intimate stuff to that AI. So we're getting that benefit from that here. Okay? If you have, LM Studio is what I highly suggest you install. Once you do that, at the very top, we're going to search for something in here. Now, you may have seen something called DeepSeek, right? DeepSeek R1. And if you have them installed, they're going to show up here. If you don't, you can press enter. And I always have a trouble with this, so just bear with me here and all that. And you should be able to do something. Let's just see if it okay. I'm going to do something weird. You can go ahead and type in DeepSeek because you don't have anything there. And you should see this icon. This button. Give me a second, move this out of the way. And when you click on it, you're going to see this this thing that you saw before on me. So let's all get together and make sure if you do have LM Studio installed, if it is fully installed and already coming in here, and you typed in there and typed in DeepSeek at the very top, and this came up, let me know. Anybody get any troubles or errors when they tried that? Okay. For this conversation, what I'm going to suggest... Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned that we need to go and search for DeepSeek on the top bar.
At the top bar, yes. Type it there. Type something. Anything you want. If you've already loaded something, for example, if you didn't skip the onboarding and you have something there, it'll say Llama. you have to type whatever. You're just trying to get to this search engine where it's coming here.
Yeah.
Or you can click on this little icon on the left. That's kind of hidden for me right now, but the lupa there, the magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah,
se-
the top is not finding anything, so I need to click on the button that says do a better search.
Okay, that sounds good. Do that and remember that it's okay to take a screenshot of what I'm doing. I'm going to showcase something in just a minute, and that's the real thing in here. Okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
So, excellent. Anybody else have any issues? Anybody else see anything that they would like to talk about? I'm going to go in a minute. Go ahead.
When on those options you stay distill, the DeepSeek R1.
So yeah, we'll as long as you get here, I will get into some of the discussion. In fact, there's a ton of them.
Okay.
It's a never-ending list. So we'll do something even better. We'll do space DeepSeek, one word, 1.5b, and now we'll get a different list. Okay? And if you can, I'm going to ask you to try. Let me see if I type in this, I get the same one. I want us to all install the same one. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go to Zoom, and that's the wrong Zoom. Oh, let's see. Shoot, how do I get? Oh, there it is. Let me see if I can get. Just bear with me here. I don't know if you can see this. I'm seeing the chat, but I'm not seeing. How do I get my Zoom chat again? Wow. Okay. Is there, I'm going to need somebody's help here. I want everybody, well, let's do this. Type in DeepSeek and type in 1.5b and press enter. Okay, what I want everybody to do is try to get the same one. If you see DeepSeek here, when the first one, DeepSeek R1 distill, we won't talk too much about that in, Quen 1.5 GGUF. Everybody see that?
I see it.
Okay. Anybody here not seeing this? Once you typed in DeepSeek space 1.5b. Okay. This is the one I would suggest you install. The reason, and you can just go ahead while I'm talking, click on this button that says download. Click on it, it'll take a while, but I can discuss some things that we're seeing on the screen right now. Okay? So if you click on it, that's fine. When I click on this area here, I'm going to click on this pull down. You're welcome to do the same. You might not see the same things I do. Here's what these things mean. This means that all of these, and I'll talk about what the differences are between them, all of them can fit in the memory of my GPU, can be run easily on my computer. To emphasize that, I've downloaded, I'm going to keep on downloading, I'm not going to download any other one, but I'm going to emphasize that by typing 70B. I don't want you to do this, I just want you to just look at my screen. And notice that all of a sudden the same area, it says something different up here, but the same area tells me it most likely will be too large for this machine. So LM Studio, unlike Olama, will look at your computer and will describe and try to guess whether your computer can handle this one. Don't try the 7B, but for example, here's what we can all try. Remember to have, you should have gone to 1.5B and you should have clicked on download, right? What we're having is a conversation here. But if you have clicked on download, or if you're just watching along with me, well, you'll notice that when I click on 7B, go ahead and do that, well, because it's still downloading, right? We haven't stopped downloading. 7B, you'll notice that maybe some of you will have red here. This one, it says on my computer, you'll be fine. Let's try 15B. I know it's 15 or 16B. Give me a second. Okay. It says these are fine. But now when you start doing other things, more sophisticated ones, not sophisticated, larger ones, LM Studio is telling you there's probably a problem. Okay? Everybody see that? It's telling me I've downloaded this one because of the checkbox. It's telling me the size. This is not the size of the memory on your computer. This is the size of what it could fit in here. Now, if you have a Mac, you have a benefit, which is Macs don't have memory for the GPU, so they use the memory and it's shared. Same thing with the Snapdragons. Because don't kid yourself, the M1s and the Snapdragons are the same CPU. So they will have checkboxes where normally they wouldn't. Normally with something with, say, 16 gigs wouldn't be able to do this. But on the Macs and on this new Snapdragons from Windows, they will. And the reason is because how it can fit in here. So LM Studio does a pretty good job of trying to guess whether it'll fit on your computer or not. And it's going to guess it. It's just a guess, right? It could be it's wrong, especially if you're just in the border of things, right? 16 billion parameters. I don't have a top of the line GPU, but it did cost $300 a year ago. So it's not a cheap little thing, and it is a pretty powerful computer I'm on purpose for this presentation. Oh, look at that. Timed out over here. I think I'm having some bad internet problems and all that. So it doesn't really matter because we can all do this on different models while still having the same conversation. I just want to emphasize that with LM Studio, you're getting some of the benefits of doing this. When it comes to the Mac, there are other types. This is the GGUF. Don't ask me what it stands for. I actually don't know what it stands for. But these are the models that work on both the GPUs and the CPUs. So some of you do not have a dedicated graphic card that costs $300 that's sitting here maybe on a laptop, something like that, and you have a good CPU. They will be aware of that and they'll let you run it on the right things. Okay? So I'll keep downloading here. This lives under here, this little pop-up. If I click somewhere else and it's gone, it's living here. It's downloading 1.5. I have a raised hand from Marin. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, is there a way to do this check in Olama? So similar that you are doing here, that your resources are not.
Yeah, there isn't, because I don't know if they're going to build something like that. I mean, the program can look, but it is only guessing. So it kind of, this was first Olama, so I think they see a benefit on being only console. They can expose an API, so there are programs you can load that become the front end. But LM Studio, and then there's another one that I know that's pretty good, has some benefits. This is one of the benefits. It kind of tries to guess at what's going on. In fact, there is an option, I keep forgetting how to do it, where, let me see, load model? Well, that's just loading it. There's a way that I can load it and then choose, hey, I have 32 gigs of memory on my computer, but I have only 12 gigs on the GPU. I want this to be on the memory. Like, I don't mind if it's super slow, but I've noticed it's better. Let's just say I'm having that conversation with all of you because we're trying to do something big. You're like, all I need to do is have it, check my homework, and I don't mind if it takes all weekend long to do this. I just need the right model, and I've done the experiments, and that's where we can, have a conversation of why there's multiple ones, because I like to do presentations as I'm doing right now, things like that. But there's a reason why we might have a conversation here where you're going to be okay giving up the speed, because if I go to 1.5B, I'm gonna. You'll see it kind of loading up here. You can see it on your own. I can say, Tell me a story about AI, but don't say the word elephant. You know what I mean? And it's thinking. See that? It's not that it's thinking. LM Studio has been nice enough to hide what we were seeing in Olama. Remember in Olama, there was the thinking? LM Studio hides that. So you will see that it seems to sit here. And for some of you with a complex question, it's going to sit here for a long time. 27, 30 seconds and all that. You know what I mean? In computer days with you young people and in your Instagrams, this is a long time, right? This 3 seconds, not a big deal. 1.5, okay, right? Interesting. Well, let me click on this and try a big model. There's a big model. This is DeepSeek 8 billion. Okay. I'm going to wait for it to load. I'm going to come in here and notice that the memory is going up on my CPU, on my GPU, my computer, my NVIDIA card here. Okay. It's saying my internet connection is unstable. Please excuse me. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, my friend. I've loaded the bigger model, the 8B, and I'm going to click on send. You'll notice that it took about 3 seconds of thinking. It's about the same, same question, but now it's going to take a little longer. Again, it's not that it's actually thinking. It's spitting it out. Do you see that? It's just that LM Studio is being nice to us and saying, like, it truly is thinking about it. It's saying, I'm going to make sure to do this. I'm going to make sure to not use the word elephant. I'm going to make sure it's going to do that. Then I'm going to start writing that thing, that story, please, excuse me. And here it is, this wonderful story. And if there's certain things you'd like to test, like, for example, you're creating an AI that's going to be the replacement of your customer service or a front end to the customer service so that, they don't deal with people asking silly questions, then you might want to play with different models before you tell the developers, before you tell the consultants that are coming in to use certain models. You're like, I've noticed these models work better. I've noticed that I'm getting pretty good stuff from DeepSeek. I'm getting pretty good stuff from Llama, right? I'm getting pretty good stuff from Gemma, which is Google's version of that. And you want to be able to experiment. And maybe you want to come experiment on, say, a home computer that has a graphic card that maybe it's going to be a little bit faster so you can play around with it more, and then go to work and say, again, we're responding to emails. If each time the AI looks at an email, figures out what to do, summarizes it to create that summary, takes 3 minutes, it's no problem, right? Because we have such a long list of emails that the person's going to actually see the emails, won't see it for another 15 minutes. So for the AI to take 3 minutes to summarize it, and the customer service that's going to really look at it gets a nice summary, maybe some links, maybe some suggestions of what kind of replies you should be going, and you're like, I don't mind that takes 3 minutes per email because my humans won't see it for 2 hours, right? And if it's over the weekend or overnight, my humans will come in and every single email will have maybe some suggested replies. Can everybody see, there's some benefits, and it's okay sometimes that it's slow. I'm not showing you anything slow. I should have loaded a bigger model. I loaded a little tiny one, which was silly. I should have loaded one that was big and would have not used my GPU, but instead given up and then started using my CPU and memory, my regular memory, which I have plenty of, right? 23%. Mainly because I'm on Zoom and I'm on recording. There's a recording software that's running right now. I'm running a lot of things. And yet, it's bored to death in my computer. GPU, it's sweating. It's sweating up here. Not right now, right? Because we didn't ask anything. So let's do that one more time, right? I am 50 years old and have a teenager with me. What would be the best places to go in Paris so that we are both not bored, right? That's a very relevant, important answer I want. You can see that now the GPU is spiking. It's using 92% of my GPU. My memory is still the same. My CPU has bumped up a little bit, but not by much. And it's going to give me the answer. And truly, these are, let's just say they're fantastic answers. They look like fantastic answers. And I'm okay waiting, what's it going to be? Maybe 2 minutes for it? That's okay. But maybe maybe I'll put a big model there and see what's 70 or 16 or something. You know what I mean? It might be too big for my computer. Maybe something better. Down here it says it was reading 32 tokens per second. AI deals in tokens, not words. Tokens are usually words, but sometimes they're like combination of words. So for example, this could be one token, while this could be another token. Right? So tokens are a representation, but it will give you an answer. So, you might have searched something yourself and notice, wait a minute, Damien, that sucks. I'm getting 126. Or Damien, that's amazing. I'm getting 3. Right? But you're like, you know what? To give me this wonderful list, I don't mind waiting an hour, right? I'm not going to Paris until the summer, so go ahead, take an hour to answer this. No problem. No one on no one in the FBI will know I'm going to Paris, right? Because OpenAI doesn't know I'm going to Paris. Only my chat with my models in there. That's it for my presentation. I'm here to answer some questions. I'm going to show you some links, but I want to first open it up to any questions we have here before we continue. I'm going to show you something that may be of interest to everybody, but do you have any questions, any comments?
Yes, thank you very much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm driving a little bit, so I have a quick question. Is there a limitation on what version of Microsoft Windows can you install it?
It has to be
10 or 11?
I don't know if it supports Windows 10. I know LM Studio seems to have chosen the fairly new, as in the last 3 years max, with a new CPU. I don't know if it's going to run on Windows 10. I'm pretty sure any version of Windows would work just fine, but Windows 11 is a funny thing. Windows 11, when it came out, and Windows 11 now can run certain things that Windows 11 back then couldn't. So the answer is I don't quite know which version that will come in there. It's just a matter of experience. Like, remember that LM Studio is not a huge thing, so you can install it, and then if it doesn't work, you can uninstall it, and it won't be a big deal.
How about if it's a Linux box?
If it's a Linux box, it's the same thing. It has to be an Intel one, so no ARM currently is supported by LM Studio. I think Ollama can handle certain things. I think Ollama seems to be more flexible certain things, so I don't think there's any limit in what it can do. And I don't Linux is a different variant, so if you have anything newer than 4.0 kernel, 5.0 kernel, which has got to be like a long time ago. Go ahead.
4.0. Okay, I'm just trying to get what kind of kernel. Okay, 4.0.
Yeah,
Fine.
If it's Ubuntu, you probably can go to 20 or 18, Ubuntu. Just no problem. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. One thing, and please come in with some of these questions. I have some links. So again, if you go to Damien Rocks, kind of at the end, there's a couple of different links, and let me just talk about them. I'm in no way ending this conversation, but I just want to showcase some links and some interesting things you might be might have a nice conversation with. Hugging Face is trying to recreate R1, as in DeepSeek. And so DeepSeek says they could have done it. Anybody could have done it. They just have the thing. And they open sourced it. It's hard to explain, but an open source model, think of it like an Excel spreadsheet you can use. You don't get told how that Excel spreadsheet was created. If it has these wonderful numbers with all these wonderful formulas, you can see the formula. You can enter the information, you can look up the information. You're like, this is a great resource. Here's all the people in the United States that are a perfect customer for me. If I had an Excel spreadsheet for that, I would pay money, and if I got it for free, it would be wonderful. But nobody really told you how they got that information. So if they got something nefarious, like they hacked something to get that, you're like, whoa, that's a little bit problem. But the R1, the DeepSeek R1, they did kind of release how they're going to do it. And Hugging Face spent, and it's going to take them about 3 months, so even now they're still working on it, will spend the $5 million to try to recreate it. So if truly it's just a matter of putting all the things together, as I talked about with Christina Aguilera a little bit earlier, doing all the right things, doing what all the different models are doing all at the same time, if that's the secret, well, Hugging Face, the place where we get 150,000 models, the kind of repository, the marketplace, the place that you go to for deploying that, will showcase that. They are a company, they're a well-funded company, they can spend the $5 million, they have the GPUs, they have the data analytics to do it, so they're going to do it. DeepSeek themselves, again, is a lab that's doing all sorts of things. They've now recently released, to sort of compete, they've released with a Sora competitor. What is Sora? If you haven't heard about it, it's AI's type something, and then all of a sudden a video comes out. So they've released something called Janus Pro. So there's an article about it from Hugging Face that you see in this link. This is something we'll talk about in a second. And Minstrel, so the Minstrels and the Anthropic and some of the other competitors to OpenAI, they've released some things. Some of them are releasing. Mistral is one of the companies that does certain things. They've released a small model that only requires a 3090 with 32 gigs. What that means is that you could run it with the same kind of computer I am, but instead of the $300 I spend, about $2,000, which, it's not a car, so therefore that's how much the other ones cost, not a Tesla, which is how much the other ones cost. It's $2,000. You could get together with your friends and do it, and they say it's a version of a model similar to DeepSeek and even beats DeepSeek, but is incredibly well with other things like maybe something you're interested in. I'll get to the link I said before. Azure, to talk, someone mentioned a little bit earlier, what about a private version? Well, Azure will give you a private version and charge you per use, per hour, per CPU if you want. There's an article about it here on the Damien.rocks link here with the slides. So you can have a private version of that. Here's someone else that said that they recreated the RC not for $5 million, but $30. You can go ahead and read that. There's a brand new model from the Quen people. And then this is a fascinating link. If you click on it, if you want to know what's going on in there, there's certain models that fit, certain models that don't. Olama, as we talked, doesn't really do that check. LM Studio does do the check and tries to guess what they're saying. Well, this is a calculator where you can do it yourself. Okay. One last thing. I said that you can run LM Studio and run DeepSeek, but it's a tiny model, 1.5, and they're running a 70. So think of it like 70 more stuff in that beautiful brain in a jar that you can ask questions to. This is Grok. This has nothing to do with Elon Musk or XAI, which is Grok. So those of you that speak a different language, you understand that there's a lot of words in English that have two meanings and two different spellings. This is one of them. If it's Grok with a K, I'll do the joke. If it's Grok as in KKK, then it's the Elon Musk Grok. If it's a Grok with a Q, then it's a different company. This company has done something revolutionary in AI. They say you don't need $40,000 GPUs. You need a better CPU, an LPU they call. I don't know what the L stands for. So they have here in the link that you can see in the slides I provided you earlier. They give you a DeepSeek that is running on their supercomputers. It's a 70 billion model. You can see it here, all the models they have. And you can do a comparison of all the different ones and get the big ones. So you want to do, and you can have this by API as well, by the way. So you can do some things as a developer and all that. You want to try DeepSeek R1. You want to give it to your friends that don't have as powerful a computer. You want to open up a link on your phone and have a conversation, and your friends go, "Oh my God, no!" But you're sharing it with the Chinese, and you're like, "Nope." It's a startup in San Francisco that's hosting the model, but nothing is sent to China. This is the unicorn, right? This is the magic where you can do anything you'd like with DeepSeek, but it's on an American company, in American soil, with American revolutionary AI GPUs. These are amazing people. But it's Grok with a Q, okay? And you can try all the different Olama. I'm sorry, my apologies. Llamas, different than Olama. I know that sounds the same, but it's different. These are the different models. This is the Minster ones. This is the DeepSeek ones. Here's the Gamma ones. You can try things that you might not be able to try on your own computer, and you'll be able to try them on an American-made computer that doesn't send their stuff to a foreign country, if that is of concern of you. Now that's it. There's no more. Any other questions? Any other things? Any other comments?
Yes, Damien, great presentation. I mean, I have
Thank you so much.
run several, but this is the one of the best so far.
Wow.
Um,
I'm honored.
so the thing that I wanted to talk about, like, you mentioned that you will be letting us know that what type of computer we should have it to run this kind of LLM.
Yeah.
That's one. Second thing is, I know that this is not your first or last. So how can we get connected and get more of it whenever you're presenting or your group is presenting?
You're very kind. Now, Flux is my love and every single day thing. I happen to have another group. Thank you for asking me about it. The group is called FloridaJS. It meets once a month. We had a presentation very similar to this, but not as good. I got a little bit better with my presentation before. You can see some of the videos about it. You can see the video presentation, but unfortunately the audio got cut off, so we didn't have that video presentation there. This is my easiest way to find me. You will find me on Meetup. You can click on this link to continue that. Flux is one of my favorite groups. Like it is my first group I've ever been to when I was brand new in this state. I went to the Flux meeting down on, help me out, it was Nova. It was Nova, right? The location when Flux used to meet all the time down in Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood.
Davie, Nova Southeast
Davie.
University.
Yes.
Davie.
You did, Davie. Yes, my friend. I'm a big fan of that. But if you're interested, you can reach out to me here. You can, of course, find me, Damian Montero, on LinkedIn, and I'll be glad to connect with you with more information. Tomorrow, like I said, if you're interested in AI and you don't mind, it is up north. It's Palm Beach Gardens. It's PGA Boulevard up north. The location is not easy to get to, but if it is easy to get to for you, I will be there, but there will be much smarter people than I talking about AI as well. This one's ML5 is just fun. You will just have a fun time with ML5. It is not, running on locally, having, the computer's fan spin up, all this type of things kind of conversation. Her conversation is a fun one. I'll be there tomorrow. But FloridaJS is where I normally do my presentations. I've been in if you look, I wonder if I could do it. Damian Montero, Usenet, tlug.org. I've been in Linux for forever. Nothing comes up. You figured that would come up. I guess we need ChatGPT. That's me at all these different events where I'm talking, things like that. That is not where I work. What is going on here? That is not where I work. I work for the feds. So, what's the same? I'm a spook, right? Is that the same in English? I work for the Department of Justice. So I'm a developer for the Department of Justice. You can see me there. Well, you can't see me there. I'm sorry, you don't know what I'm saying. You can find me at different events and all that. But you said you wanted to know which computers you can use to run this, right?
Yes.
Perfect. The LM Studio works on every computer. Just to start off like that, it will run everything, and the trick is the 1.5. The 1.5, you'll find you can do a good conversation with it. It does pretty well. The DeepSeek R1, you can do the Olama 1.5, the Llama, please excuse me, 1.5. There you go. There's the new model I just put in that we downloaded. These are good conversations. What you can do to be better. I hate to say this because I'm a Windows I'm a Linux guy. I first installed Linux in 1996, 0.92. I don't know if that was, I guess, was that the kernel? It was something and all that, or it was Slackware. So I'm a Linux guy. I do work on Windows at work, you know what I mean? But I have seen some magical things coming out of the Macs. They seem to have fixed this issue of not having to load. The best thing is load everything on a GPU. You put me with a $3,000 Mac and a model that fits in my GPU, and this is a nice computer, but it's definitely not a $3,000 computer, and I will be faster. Now, maybe there's no benefit of being faster, right? Like we said, if I need something done in 15 minutes, there's no need to worry that it takes me 30 seconds and you 2 minutes. Who cares? It has to be done in 15 minutes. So, the Macs are a big one because they seem to be able to load everything in there. Let me see. There's a place where we can see. This just loads it. Where's that thing? There's a place that we can see all the details and you can see what's going on. The Macs have an ability to use this memory, for which here I have 32 gigs memory. I only have 12. See this down here? That's only 12. That means I can fit only a model that fits under 12. But if I had a Mac, I have the full 32 gigs inside my GPU. So therefore, I could go all the way to 32. Right? And you can buy a Mac. The most recent Studio, if you don't mind parting with a $10,000, is 512. That means that it can load every single model in Olama and every single model in this models. Every single one of them. Right? And one of them here, if you notice, says 671. This one, let me tell you that that it must have a lot of downloads, but nobody's running it. This would take up. Let's do the test. Hold on 1 second. Where's the link? Boom. This is the test. Oh, what happened? Can I not click on it? All right. Let me try copy. Cheat. This is the calculator. It's pretty good, and we can go and say. It's a 671 billion parameters. And let's see, I would need, I think it's 512. I need 512. No, you need more than that. Look at that, 600. There's no computer that has that I know of. I mean, I know there's ones with terabytes, but the calculator doesn't even go that big. Was it 600? So anyways, I apologize. I fell into a rabbit hole. But there are some models that just cannot, fit. The 1.5 is something that you need. Ignore this. You need, you can fit it you just need 0.5. So every single computer can do 1.5. No problem at all. Right? Every single computer has that much memory or in the GPU, so it'll run as fast as it can. And no problem at all. Right? Like no issues whatsoever. There you start getting into trouble when you type in 16. This is where I have dedicated. I have one database that has 12. So here it says, no, you cannot. 16, you cannot. Now there's other things that change it. And we won't go into too many of those. But you can see that it's difficult to get it running. The Macs have a thing. There's a new AI chips from AMD that are catching up. The Snapdragons can do the same things, but they're limited as what they can do. The Snapdragons don't let you use all the memory. and the Apples let you use 75% of the memory, so it's higher than the other places, which lead you usually to do half and all that. All to say that try putting some things on your computers. If you want to start a business that does it, there's some servers that will host it for you. Amazon will host it for you, right? AWS will host it for you. Google hosts all these Llama models. This Grok with a Q, not with a K, will host it for you. There's a lot of different people that can host it. Try. So if you want to use that in your industry and you want to get a consultant or you want to do it, definitely try it to know that. This is a place to play with, to figure out. You're going to come into work with this incredible knowledge of these different models. So when they're coming with questions about what do you guys think we should use, and you're like, well, I've tried this one, and everybody's heads will turn and go like, okay, you're in charge of this because this is what we want to hear, right? And so this lets you play around with it. And there are small enough models, and you can see what's going on. You can see if DeepSeek is better than Command A or Gemma, please excuse me, I keep on calling Gemini. Gemma, which is the Google one, or the Llama one, that's a very famous one. The 3.2 is spectacular. There's the one that I have. This one works in my computer, so it's a very good one. You can experiment, right? There's a program, if anybody's heard it, called Cursor. I think it's cursor.sh. Yeah. So this is a program that lets you program so your code will appear here. There's an AI that's built in. They don't run it locally. You can if you'd like, if you want to, but they'll host it with something else. They cost you about $20 a month. It's not a bad price because of the things you'll be getting. So it's a wonderful one to experiment with. But LM Studio, it's a lot of fun. And I know a lot of you will have a great time with it.
Got it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hi, Damien. I
Yes.
wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
The session was easy to follow, so I was able
Excellent.
to install everything and
Great.
test.
Wonderful.
I have a question. So as a developer, do I
Yeah.
have to write my own APIs to
Yeah.
interact with this model?
Yeah, but yes, you can. Now, what happens over here is if you know LM Studio, it'll say start server at port 1234. Okay, so I did that. So you can right click and start the server. There's a way to do it in Olama. I keep forgetting the way. And then of course come in here and say write me a Python app that will interact with a local LLM on localhost port 1234 and give me a chat for it. And you wait and boom, there's the code, and just play around with it, and see what's going on. You can also, let's see this, I just totally forgot. Oh, but I don't have okay. This is my repo, and I have here nice little app. It's using that was a bad example. It's doing wonderful things. I'd love to show it to you, but it's using the Google API. What am I going to do with that? Okay, doesn't matter. You can definitely come in here and have it come out what's going on in here. What language do you program in?
Java.
Java, perfect. Which is the best library similar to LangChain and
There is LangChain for J.
Oh, really?
So yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Don't even look anywhere else and all that. LangChain's fantastic. Give me Java code that will connect to a localhost LLM on port 123 using.
You can use Spring AI.
Spring
will
AI.
provide
That makes
engines.
sense. Of course they're going to use that name. Yes. But yeah. Of course they're going to use that name and all that. So okay, this is a great one. You could ask Microsoft's version Copilot, which is essentially, by the way, here's a cheat. This is and if you log in, this is ChatGPT for free. Don't pay $20. See this button here? Okay. If you press that button, okay, now you're doing the $200 one for free. One of the things that ChatGPT and Microsoft agreed is Microsoft would give them $10 billion and then another $2 billion, but they got access to the LLMs for free. So a lot of times you'll find that the copilot.microsoft.com has the exact same thing, just a little bit later. Right? Not the same day, but a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden, the same things appear. This thing is what you'd pay $200 on ChatGPT for. So ask it, Spring, which is better, Spring, let's have an argument, Spring AI or LangChain 4J for my Java program, right? And it's wonderful to use these. So it's thinking about it and it's doing that analysis and all that. That the $200 model from it's O1. It's not O3 yet, right? I think O3. Well, O3 Mini is out, but whatever. So there you go. Here's a comparison. Here's a beautiful chart. Jeez, this is so beautiful. Here's some documentation. Wow. Wrapping up. Oh. Too nice. I think it's saying both are pretty good. So you're both right. So,
Yeah,
anyways.
depending of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I think for a simple application, Lang Chain4j will be better, and I think for RAG also
Yeah.
Lang4j is easier. Lang Chain4j.
Perfect. Oh, awesome. I should have asked you instead of asking the computer. That was my mistake. But to answer your question, right-click on the LM Studio. On the Mac, it's at the very top. On the actual Linux, it's part of the application. It's under the settings. And you can start a
So,
server, and
yes,
it'll
can
expose a
you
1 to 3. Yes.
sorry, can you show me again in LLM Studio what is the menu to start the server?
No, it's not here. It's down here in Windows under the icon here. Right-click, and it says, I just
Okay.
stopped it. So right-click, and it's start and port MP3. On the Mac, you'll be up here, right? Same icon, click on it, start port 1 to 3. And on Linux, it's under this little thing down here, the gear. I don't remember where it is. Oh, and if you don't see it, you got to press, if you don't see that option, you got to press developer down here. You see that down here?
Okay. Yes.
So if you didn't see
It
that
is.
option, then click developer. You might have to start and stop LangChain, LM Studio.
Perfect.
But there you'll have it here. Start the server in port 1 to 3. It's compatible with the same interface as OpenAI. They just made the interface. So everybody's copying them. If you want to do any of the agentic stuff, RAG is not included in the agentic stuff. So you can do RAG with most of the models. But if you want to do the agentic stuff, the model you're looking for is one that has the word tools in it. So let me showcase that. There you go. So it's going to be something like, let me do Gamma. Gamma's a good one, especially Gamma 3. Gamma 3 is ridiculous. Let me see. Why is it not coming up? Let me see. So if I choose 12, so look at that. I choose 27, and it's saying, no, you're crazy. There's these KL, KVs, and different ways of, this is like zipping the model. That's why it's smaller. This is a real model down here. This K and M and L, and you might see S, it starts with medium, large, small, is a way, I'm not going to go too much into it, because I don't know that much into it, but it's a way to shrink it and all that. But you can see, I got too greedy. This Gamma 3 is the name. I chose 27B, And LM Studio is like, dude, yeah, there's no way you're going to run it. You might run this, but if you run this, see, partially GPU offload possible. In other words, if I choose this one, I'm going to choose it. See, it'll take forever to download, but I'm going to choose it, and it's not going to run on my GPU. It's going to run on my CPU at significantly slower speed. And I might be okay with that, right? It might be all right to ask it to give me code to, to find out the difference between, Spring AI or Llama 4J. So that's okay. I may be okay with that. But just want you to be aware of. But getting back to the RAG stuff, the RAG you'll be able to do. That's the button over here. See that icon that you can't see kind of it's kind of fitted? So you can do that, and you can do that through the API.
Yes.
If you can try with this little clip. So click on this, choose the model you want to test, upload a PDF, and the PDF is the easiest because it knows how to load it, right? What's it called on LangChain? Whatever it's called. Loaders? It's not loaders. I'm blanking out here. I know the word. So try it on here first, and then if it hears, try the API. You'll notice that it's one line you're changing, right? The one line where in any of the languages, you just change it, and there will be a version for connecting to a local host. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So did we answer that question?
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Let's see.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. There it is. So
Okay, I got a question.
go.
Sorry, yeah, I thought you were finishing explaining something.
I'm done. You go.
Okay, yeah. I've been able to develop a couple of apps through with OpenAI. But
Nice.
you just said something a while ago. What did you say about Copilot and then using it instead of paying for OpenAI?
So it's not the API. So copilot.microsoft.com is the answer where you go to do the same thing as you do with ChatGPT, right? So if you go to chatgpt.com, there's the 3 plans there, right? Do I have an account? I think I have an account on this. I don't know if I have it on this computer. Yeah, I do. Bum, bum, bum. So over here in ChatGPT, you have the API. It isn't the answer for that, but if you were on ChatGPT.com and wanted to choose, right, the plus or one of those models, one of the things you can try is the copilot.microsoft.com, but they don't. Copilot.microsoft.com doesn't have an API side of things. Azure, Microsoft's cloud provider, does. So they point you there. So if you want to do API stuff, go there. If you've done some research and certain things in ChatGPT, why doesn't it let me choose? Why don't I have one? Anyways, instead of upgrading, right, and paying the $200 one, or even the $20 one, some of these things you have in Copilot, but only the graphical interface. So it might not help you. Do you think it's going to help you? There's no API here. Copilot, again, Microsoft has an API solution for you, but it's nothing to do with this endpoint. This is just to someone that doesn't want to spend the $20 here. But if you're doing the API,
Okay.
you're not spending the $20 here, right? You're doing through the other place, right?
Yeah. Okay. I understand.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
You know what I'm
So
talking
I
about.
could. Yeah, you're using. So okay. Yeah, I think. All right. That's.
Does that make sense?
I can. Yeah, I can
So if
understand.
if you live here under the OpenAI platform with the SDKs, right? That's different than people that live here that ask it questions. For the ask it question people, I have an answer, Copilot. For the API people, right? I'll do this later. For the API people, right? Like maybe you, I don't know, I'm guessing. Then we have different solutions. One of the solutions, by the way, try Grok. GROK. I'm sorry, not GROK. I said it by, I read something else. GROQ. This is very important. But they don't have OpenAI. But you can point, there's some APIs, I have to look where they are, where you can try some of the other environments, and currently it's free. But it's not OpenAI. So, but you may be able to look at different things and say, okay, what about Minstrel, right? Minstrel 7B and see what's going on. Try the Olama 70 billion, right? I don't know if they do, right? Try these two. And I said that, where is... Somewhere in here is their API. So you can look for it. I don't need to find it right now for you and all that, but look for it and see and all that. Cool.
So the only thing, I think that you need to have an account in Grok and also in Microsoft Copilot.
Yes. Yes. You do need an account on Grok to get the API. You do need an account. And Microsoft has an account only when you want to save things. So this Copilot will work. So if I open it in incognito mode, right, here I am. I can ask it questions, get started. You know what I mean? What is the capital of France? You know, it will answer for me. I don't know, just...
I can write...
Oh, okay. Okay, you know. Tell me a short 3-paragraph story of Python. You know, it'll work. I'm not logged in. But there's, you know, you could hack maybe the API behind here and all that and do different things. Don't do that. If you want Microsoft to be your API provider because you don't trust OpenAI or because you don't like the other guys, Azure is the answer for like Microsoft giving you an API, and they'll charge you the same thing and all that. Okay. So.
Damian.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the difference between directly interacting with Copilot, the interface on the browser versus the Copilot inside of Office 365?
So the Copilot here on Windows 11 is doing the same thing as the website. I'm almost sure. Yeah, no. I'm almost sure it's the exact same thing because it looks the exact same thing and all that. On 365, it's doing RAG. With Office 365, it has access to things the program Copilot and the website Copilot do not, which is your documents. So it can understand certain things of your documents and things like that. So it has that context on purpose, and the website on purpose doesn't. Right, because separation concerns. Right, I don't want these guys to have.
So you could ask a question relevant to, let's say, for instance, maybe a document or something,
yeah,
a SharePoint list,
yeah,
or something on OneDrive. Yeah?
Yes, if I go to Office.com and I log in, sign in, my Copilot will know my documents, right? My different things. I have a lot of things in OneNote, so different things. And I think it can search for it, and only if you pay for it. Let's see. Can you tell me if I put some comments?
But isn't that included on E5 or E3, or you have to pay on top of that?
Talk to me. What's E5, E3?
The version of O365, you can have E3, which is developer. O5 is enterprise, the smallest.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's beyond my knowledge. I don't know what that is. I have the regular one, but it seemed to have figured it out.
Okay.
So that's the company I used to work for a long time ago, but whatever. I'm sure it has that interaction you can do and have some of the documents. I don't know if I have to turn it on. It feels like I have to turn it on. Maybe incorrect. Oh.
Okay, and now if you use it with Azure, with
so that Yeah.
Is
Azure.
the tenant, whatever is on the tenant, or what? How's that work?
No. So Azure is completely separate. So the Azure Foundry and the Azure Studio, they used to be called Azure Studio. What the hell happened? They keep on renaming it. It has automatically no knowledge of nothing. It only adds what you have, right? So, oh my. Oop. All right. Well, let's not try that. Oh no, that was just the app, right? Okay, whatever. So with Azure, it's essentially, it's a cloud provider. It's not going to automatically have access to everything, but it's going to have an easier time having certain access to certain things, right? Your servers, your databases, things, because if you're ready there, right? But not automatically like Office Copilot will have understanding of your documents, even though I showed you something that didn't seem to work. But AI Foundry can be loaded with things. Maybe I'll log in. I don't have another window just to log in and bring it back into this window, so you have to take my word for it.
So
Yeah.
Fabric works with Office 365 or Azure? I mean,
So the AI Foundry is the old AI Studio for Microsoft. That's their like location where all the AI stuff together comes in there. Kind of
Okay.
right, the old AI Studio, if you remember that.
right. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, regular Azure has all the services there. They're available, individually, but they don't automatically have access to your stuff. They'll have an easier time, right? If I don't have to worry about firewalls and protections and services for Azure AI RAG services, or for it to some of the basic boring data analytics stuff that it's looking for patterns. It's not fancy AI. I remember what that was, but there were different things off it. Now probably sitting on Azure AI Foundry, you'll have access easier because of permissions, not because it instantly knows all your things that you've ever connected with Microsoft. On purpose, they don't do that. They could. They don't whatsoever do that. I think you'll agree, on purpose.
And how does AI interact with Fabric? I mean, if Fabric is part of Office 365, then only?
Yeah, whatever you put Fabric. Fabric is just the old Power BI, but online. This is something you know better than me. I know you, right? Mm-hmm. So my understanding is that you still have to point it at the databases you wanted to interact with. You still have to point to the documents or the blob storage you wanted to parse, to interact, to bring all the stuff RAG style, bring all the stuff in there. You still have to do all those things on purpose, not because it can't figure that out. It could, but I have a feeling that it's not going to do it automatically.
Okay. Yeah.
So we can have a conversation.
Those are Delta Park tables kind of thing.
Yes.
With some Fabric, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you. That clears it up a little bit. Thank you.
Sure, anytime. Let's see. It says that I just realized all I had to do was click on it, and then let me in. Give me a second. These are the things we talked about. I thought it was asking me something weird. No, it's just asking me to approve of my Authenticator app. There it is. So I'm in. I have to change my subscription. Oh, I keep forgetting which one it is. I think this one's it. So this one has, this is the same thing as, please excuse me, I'm going to go into a rabbit hole. AI, if you create a project, I'm in the wrong thing because I have projects already. AI Foundry has all the AI tools together easier from Microsoft in one place. AI Studio from Google is the same. AI Studio, Google, it's the exact same thing. They have all the things together, different places. They have the API keys, so you can interact with them and all that. Just another note. I don't have. It's my daughter's computer. That's why I don't have Slack on. I recently saw an article that said for the gentleman that's doing the interaction with an API key with OpenAI, start looking at Gemini. Gemini 2? Yeah, Gemini 2 is supposed to be a tenth of the price of OpenAI. And I'd like to be proven right or wrong, and you are going to do that, right? So this is something like a flashlight, especially, is some. There you go. Is, remember, it's these two combined, right? So let's think of this one: 30 cents per. Is it 1,000,000 or 1,000? I think it's 1,000,000 tokens coming back here. So how big the reply big. So I think ChatGPT is a lot more. By the way, I thought it was a lot cheaper than this, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Is this guy? Well, this guy's 15 cents, as long as it's under 128 tokens. This is 30 cents. This is big. This is $5, but it's. Oh, yeah. Don't do the 1.5. I'm sorry. That was the mistake. It is the Flash ones. These are free right now. See this price? So just be conscious of that. I could have sworn this was a lot cheaper. I don't know why. But if you were to create, oh my God, right now, if you were to create a competitor to those places that you upload your picture and it dances, right? Or you upload your picture and it makes it a professional, you upload just a picture of you outside in the nightclub, and all of a sudden you get this beautiful professional picture you can put on LinkedIn. Right now they're charging you 0 cents to do that. So it's time to get some programming going on and make some money, especially if it costs you 0 to do it. So, all right.
Yeah, I'll look into that one.
Please.
I've used Gemini 2, and I've realized that problems that I've had with OpenAI, Gemini was able to solve much easier and quicker.
Amazing.
I'm going to look into that right there.
Yeah. I could have sworn to you that this was a lot cheaper, and I have a feeling it's a cost of OpenAI API per, not per token. I know it's per. You can tell me better than me. Oh, yeah, per 1,000,000 tokens. So look, depending on which model, the mini, it's $1.10 compared to 40 cents. It's a third or fourth of the price, right? As you can tell, I'm not good at math. I don't have to be, right? That's what calculators are for. OpenAI O3 Mini, it's spectacular. It's amazing. But it's $4. I'm wrong. I looked at the wrong place. It's $4. The other guy is 40 cents. You got to try it. You got to try and let us know. Let us know how much it is. And let us know, what your savings and things like that. And maybe what was before a cool little fun project that you're hoping will make it work, now all of a sudden you're profitable. Right? In which case, let's go. Turn it on. Give us, the whole world is waiting for you to succeed, my friend. We're waiting for you. We're ready.
And I'll send you the link to the app once it's complete.
Please. I'm on LinkedIn. Damian Montero. Reach out to me.
I just sent you a request.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll accept in a second. What else, folks? What else you want to know? I'll be at the event. If not, I am always around in every single tech event there is out there. Look for the bald guy. Usually he looks like this guy. Sometimes I have a white hat on, like a Cuban white hat on. And by the way, usually, I don't know if you noticed this, you can hear my voice before you can see me. I am a loud individual. So just listen up on that. I'm not that loud when you get close to me. So don't. If you're sensitive with the sounds, I promise you, I'll speak softer. All right.
I see that the event that you will have tomorrow is based on JavaScript, and there is a saying that people that are working in AI, they don't use JavaScript, they use Python.
So that's something I in the next month I'll be presenting, and I love your insight here for everybody. Python for senior developers. I'm sick and tired of seeing Pythons that are for junior developers, in the sense that there are plenty, they're wonderful, they're great, and they don't do anything for me. I want to know what a class is called in Python, because it's not called a class. I want to know how to set up a project that I see on GitHub that I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to have it running my computer. I don't understand Python, but what's going on? So I'll be presenting that at next month's event. Again, deep dive, so you can see me next month around the 24th, I think, of April is the next month to do that. But LangChain, if you go to LangChain, right, there's LangChain 4J. But if you come here, you'll notice, where's the documentation? That there's two. There is Python, and there is JavaScript. And there's Java, right? We don't get that lucky at C# where what I do at work. So we have a different name for it over there. We have different technologies and all that. So, but JavaScript is still out there. What they're going to do, okay, ml5.org. No, yeah, that's it. Is that it? Whoa, I better be careful, right? Don't want to Google something I don't want to. No, what was ML? Oh my goodness, ML5. Yeah, that's why. This is a fantastic. This is done by the P5JS people. The P5 created an environment so that it's easy for artists to do web stuff. You want to have a cool video of you as the face of Pac-Man and the bad guys are your favorite worst enemy, and you want to play that game. P5JS will knock it out of the park, even if you don't know how to do those things quickly and easily, and yes, in JavaScript. ML5JS lets you do body pose, hand pose, face mesh, image classification, sound classification. Ignore this. You can do this, but it's crazy. And it's fantastic, fun stuff, done in a fun way, an easy way. The reason they choose JavaScript is because everybody has that. You are all sitting in front of a browser that has that, and so therefore I don't have to worry about installing it, things like that. They have an online editor, so literally if you come with your iPad, you'll be able to see and try what they're doing and things like that, even if you just want to watch what they're doing. If you want to experiment with it, bring something that's a big screen with ideally a Bluetooth keyboard. If you have a laptop, any operating system, anything will be fine. That's what they'll be presenting, some version of this at that tomorrow's event and all that. It's far away. It's far away from me. It's about an hour away from me, and I live in Boca, so I can't even imagine how long it would take from Miami. That sounds crazy. But as you can see, I can talk about this forever. But do you have any more questions? Any more comments? I don't have to answer questions. I can also be impressed by what you're doing, like I was impressed by the new projects you are doing.
No, I just want to say that this is a great session, and thank you for all of this. And you are providing a lot of insights here, and you are going beyond. Thank you for all of that.
My pleasure.
I definitely will talk to you in LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've been accepting whoever's coming in there. Yeah. Oh, look. Accepted an event. Didn't mean to accept it. But some of you, I think, if not, just give it a second. And it looks like I always see that it takes forever for people to appear in my LinkedIn. But whenever I see them, I am accepting people and all that. So, all right.
Thank you, Damien.
My
This
pleasure.
was a great presentation. Very
really
entertaining, very informative.
Thank you very much.
I
Appreciate
enjoyed
it.
it.
Thank you so much for everybody. Okay.
Thank you,
I see.
Damien. I'm
My
so
pleasure.
grateful for your presentation. I can say I feel a lot more confident dipping my toes with
Sounds good.
AI ocean. And so thanks a lot.
I remember a saying that said nobody knows everything about AI, not even the people that built it. It's all new stuff. They're famous saying that they don't know how certain models are answering certain ways. This is all new stuff. This is all exciting stuff. There is no one that knows so much that they can't learn new things, and every single person that you can help know a little more, the whole world gets better because of it. So whatever I can do to help, that's fantastic, and please pass it along to everybody else. Don't name me, or else they're going to blame me. Just make sure that whatever you can learn, you do. You spend your time. There is no rush to learn this stuff, but if you're excited about this and you're enjoying this, enjoy it. learn as much as you can, even if you don't implement it at work or at home and all that. And if you do, great. That's wonderful. We started, imagine, I work with the government, and we just started doing AI now. How ridiculous we're doing that. And basic stuff, reading PDFs or transcribing what people are saying in the courtrooms and all that. Nothing major. So there's tons of company. Not every single company is becoming an AI company. Not every single company is doing much more than just experimenting. Everybody, that's all they're doing. I feel like it. So, all right. Did I see someone's